The story of Mxit is etched into the memories of kids who were teenagers around the mid-2000s. It wasn't just a messaging app, it was a cultural phenomenon. For the first time, we had a tool that completely revolutionized communication. Strangers forged real connections over their phones, and countless teenagers experienced the internet for the very first time. Mxit turned kids into nighttime zombies, hiding under blankets and chatting away into the early hours, pretending to be asleep. It was as addictive as dope, a digital high that no one had seen coming. But with its meteoric rise came a darker side: predators. Those PDFs lurked in the shadows of chat rooms, deceiving naive teenagers, posing as their peers. Now the thrill of Mxit was undeniable, but its safety concerns cast a long shadow. But still, nothing could stop its wildfire-like spread until the game changed. The arrival of BlackBerry and smartphones rewrote the rules of mobile communication, leaving Mxit struggling to keep up. Now in this episode, we'll delve into the genius idea of Herman Heunis, the groundbreaking creation that was Mxit. Mxit wasn't just a messaging app, it was a movement. It brought millions of people together, broke through barriers, and proved to the world that innovation knows no borders. Its meteoric rise and eventual fall holds timeless lessons about the power of adaptability and the relentless speed of technological change. This is more than a story about technology. It's a celebration of Africa's boundless creativity and entrepreneurial spirit. Now, Mxit set the stage for tech innovations, inspiring a new generation of tech entrepreneurs to harness technology to solve local challenges. Though Mxit is no longer active, its impact lives on. It was a pioneer, revolutionizing mobile communication in underserved regions like remote townships and rural areas. It showed the transformative power of mobile technology to close communication gaps and spark social connections that once seemed impossible. At the heart of this revolution was a modest visionary, Herman Heunis. Born in what was known as Southwest Africa, or what we know now as Namibia, his father was a sheep farmer. Now Heunis discovered his passion for programming as a teenager around the early 1980s. Now, after earning a BCom degree at Stellenbosch University, he stayed rooted in the university town of Stellies, except for a brief stint writing software code for the Navy during his national service for 2 years. Herman Heunis began shaping the tech landscape early in his career. By 1985, he had become a software specialist, and in 1990, he launched his own information and communications technology consultancy. Now in 1997, he founded Swiss Group Technologies, a company focused on software development and services for telecommunications network operators. Now the success of Swiss provided the funding for what would eventually become his most iconic creation, Mxit. In the year 2000, Heunis and his team took a bold step into uncharted territory by inventing a game called Araya, a massive multiplayer mobile game that used SMSs. Now, despite its innovative concept, the game failed to gain traction because of the high cost of SMSs at the time. But failure didn't stop Heunis. Instead, it inspired him. In 2003, trying to solve the high-cost communications problem, he revisited the lessons learned from the Araya game and envisioned something bigger and better, Mxit. Instead of sending SMSs, Mxit used the internet to send messages, which cut the cost of sending a message drastically. Now the concept was born, but the only problem they had in 2003 was that GPRS connection wasn't available everywhere in South Africa until late 2004 to 2005, when we had 2.5G. Now what began as a setback with Araya became the spark for one of South Africa's most impactful tech innovations.
I'm talking today to Herman Heunis, who is the CEO and founder of Mxit. Herman, describe to me what the company does.
Well, in short, Mxit is a social network and instant messaging based on mobile phones, and it was developed in South Africa, specifically for emerging markets such as Africa, obviously.
And how did the idea come about for doing it?
It's quite a very long path that we followed. It started off initially as a massive multiplayer mobile game in the early 2000s. It went through a number of iterations, and eventually in 2005 we launched a mobile instant messaging system that today evolved to much more than just social mobile messaging. But
Mxit became the first introduction to the internet and digital socializing for countless young people. It wasn't just about messaging, it was about connection. Love stories began, friendships blossomed, flings ignited, and even shady dealings found their way into the mix. Now it became a visual playground where usernames were the ultimate status symbol, like a flashy custom number plate for your digital identity. Now Mxit was the new streets for the kids. On the Joe Banker tab, you could do different things, from accessing chat rooms, in-app games, and customizing your interface. Now, since teenagers are more tech-savvy than most adults, kids quickly discovered Mxit's potential. With its near zero cost, it spread like wildfire. Now, once the kids got hooked, it was game over. In 2007, under Koos Becker, Naspers acquired a 30% stake in Mxit for an undisclosed amount. Now, Naspers had been riding the technology wave from very early on. They invested in the Chinese tech giant Tencent early and reaped massive returns on that investment, which significantly boosted the company's value. Not wanting to miss a similar opportunity in Africa, they decided to invest in Mxit. Mxit wasn't just popular, it was addictive. Kids became Mxit zombies, glued to their phones at all hours. Now strangers chatted through the night only to drag themselves to school the next day, blurry-eyed but still glued to their screens. And when they got to school, the conversations continued, weaving themselves into the fabric of daily life. But there was a cost. Many kids missed out on real-world social interactions with peers and family members. Now their eyes were fixed on their cell phones, their fingers constantly typing out messages. Now this was the first generation to fully embrace the internet, but it also became a generation plagued by social anxiety and dismissed face-to-face communication skills. For many, Mxit became an easier alternative to navigating real-world relationships. At night, while parents believed their children were fast asleep or studying, many were secretly sending and receiving Mxit messages under their blankets. For the first time, teenagers were exposed to the growing trend of sharing explicit content online, like nudes. Now, the rise of sexting introduced young people to a world of risks and vulnerability they were ill-equipped to handle. Now, before Mxit, no one had seen such intense obsession with phones, nor the constant round-the-clock communication that defined this era. Mxit wasn't just an app, it was a cultural phenomenon. It redefined how young South Africans communicated, connected, and built their own digital universe, shaping an entire generation in ways both exciting and unsettling. The public raised concerns over the safety of children on the platform. Now, many criticized it, saying that it was a product that could lead children right into the hands of PDFs. There were reports of predators who would lure young girls or boys using Mxit and then abducted them for days. In one case, the police used Mxit to catch predators. Now, people were not always honest about their personal details. She might have been a he and might have been 40 years older than the kid on the other side. Though cell phones were a highly convenient means of communication, the obsession with text messaging created by Mxit was endangering both the safety and social development of the youth. Mxit scored 0 out of 7 points on the Electronic Frontier Foundation's Secure Messaging Scorecard. It lost points because communications was not secured and it wasn't encrypted. Users couldn't verify contacts' identities. Now, past messages were also not secure if the encryption keys were stolen. Now, the code was not open to independent review and the security design was not properly documented, and there had never been an independent code audit. The evolution of phones took a dramatic leap with the arrival of BlackBerry, a game changer that stormed into the South African market at just the right time. What started as a luxury product for the upper class quickly became the ultimate gadget for the coolest kids. Now, BlackBerry's QWERTY keyboard was a revelation, making chatting and typing faster, more seamless than ever. Now, add a slick interface, superior features, and the iconic BBM, and you had what felt like an exclusive club for the elites. Now, one that everybody wanted to join. But BlackBerry's real trump card was the BIS, which offered unlimited internet access for an entire month at a low cost. It revolutionized connectivity, creating a wave of migration as South Africans eagerly swapped their old devices for the hottest smartphone on the market. As Mxit struggled to address its safety issues, grappling with predators and bullies on its platform, users began abandoning it in favor of BlackBerry, which was much safer. Mxit's flaws became glaring. Users could share contacts with strangers without much concern, and the introduction of a search bar made it even easier for predators to find targets. Now, BlackBerry, in contrast, offered a more secure and private environment, free from those vulnerabilities. While BlackBerry soared, Mxit faced yet another challenge: the rise of rival social networks. Platforms like Facebook gained traction by offering something Mxit couldn't: authenticity. Unlike Mxit's anonymous usernames, Facebook encouraged people to interact as themselves, making conversations feel safer and more trustworthy. For users tired of predators hiding behind fake profiles, Facebook was a breath of fresh air. Meanwhile, Mxit's resistance to innovate proved to be its undoing. Instead of adapting quickly to the smartphone's revolution, it clung to its outdated system. Competitors like To Go and Mig33, amongst a few, seized the opportunity, carving out their own space in the growing social media landscape. Now, Mxit's inability to evolve, combined with its failure to ensure user safety, marked the beginning of its decline. What was once a trailblazer in the mobile communication space couldn't keep up with the rapidly changing digital world. Now, why did Herman Heunis, its founder and driving force, decided to step away? The answer is sheer exhaustion. Now, after years of relentless work, Heunis admitted that his energy levels had been in steady decline for the last 18 months of being at Mxit. Now, despite whispers in 2011 that Mxit was past its prime, Heunis dismissed the critics with confidence, saying there were people in 2004 who said a free mobile instant messaging platform would never work, but he proved them wrong. And according to him, the possibilities for Mxit were endless with the right team to carry it forward. When Mxit was sold, the exact amount quickly became one of South Africa's most intriguing mysteries. While some rumors suggested the deal reached a staggering R500 million, more conservative estimates placed the figure between 320 million and 380 million rands. Yet, no one, neither Naspers or World of Avatar nor Heunis himself, was willing to confirm or deny the numbers. Now, a stringent non-disclosure agreement surrounded the deal, locking the lips of everyone involved in the negotiations. Now, this veil of secrecy only added to the intrigue as South Africans speculated about the true value of the pioneering platform that had captured the hearts and minds of millions of South Africans. When Allen took over, Mxit was already struggling with a tarnished reputation, particularly concerning safety issues that the company had been struggling to fix. Now, Allen seemed to underestimate the sheer scale of the problem. You see, Mxit needed more than just fresh funds. It needed a team of experts with experience in a social network space to survive. Now, the platform required a blend of strong technical expertise and a creative flair, something to recapture the spark that once had made Mxit so captivating. Now, without this, Mxit's days were numbered, and Allen didn't know exactly what to do with Mxit. You see, there were talks that it might turn into a fintech company, but the direction was never clear. Now, there was another rumor that said one of the plans that Allen had for Mxit was to make Mxit a prepaid distribution channel and encouraged users to move to Cell C. A few months before buying Mxit, he reached an agreement with former Cell C CEO Lars Reichelt to sell airtime. However, Reichelt left Cell C in July of 2011, and his successor, former Vodacom CEO, his father, Alan Not Craig Sr., did not see sense in the deal, and it was downhill from there.
Let's just put things in perspective. 650 million, almost 700 million phones on the continent, and about 75% of those are feature phones. And about 75% of all new phone sales are still feature phones. South Africa is a slightly low percentage of feature phones, I think it's 65% or so. But there's this huge, enormous market that it's not going to disappear. If people get better phones, they pass the existing phones down to their kids and to other people. So the feature phones are always there. Unless you've got a product that works across feature phones, you can't get anywhere in Africa. But I also realized that it's not just a messaging app. You can pay people, you can entertain yourself, you can get games and all of that stuff. And half my challenges nowadays are trying to figure out what exactly Mxit is. Facebook's a threat. I mean, they've got lots of money, they've got lots of clever people, they've got a lot of users. I think there are a couple of differences. So one is we're Africa. We're in Africa. We're not in America. We can see the market. We're trying to solve our own problems. We're not trying to invade somebody else's country. We understand that people are using mobile phones, and that's the way. There's no going back to PCs later, etc. It's just leapfrogging everything into mobile phones, and most of those phones are not going to be smartphones for now.
Francis Swart assumed the role of interim CEO at the company, and Mxit started to retrench employees due to bad financial performance. Former CEO Michael Jordan was appointed as chairman of the Mxit board in September of 2013, but by then the platform's fate had already been sealed. By the time it shut down, Mxit's active monthly users had dropped to 1.2 million. Now, at the same time, WhatsApp had grown to 10 million users in South Africa, and Facebook 13 million. Now, after leaving Mxit, Heunis took an extended sabbatical, during which he completed a number of adventures: mountain bike races, practiced wildlife photography, and took up kite surfing. The downfall of Mxit can be traced back to the person who took the reins after the company's initial success, Allen. Despite being at the forefront of the acquisition, Allen was not a tech genius or an innovator like Herman Heunis. Born with a silver spoon, Allen came from a wealthy family with strong business ties, particularly from the Stellenbosch elite business network. Now, thanks to his father's connections, he was able to raise the funds and purchase Mxit, but unfortunately, he lacked the drive and vision and also creativity needed to be able to save Mxit and take the company to the next level. Mxit's fate was sealed when the iPhone came along and crushed BlackBerry's dominance as the phone of choice. Now, the rise of platforms like WhatsApp and Instagram further eroded Mxit's advantage. Now, as the platform standardization allowed developers to create apps that could work across a wider variety of devices. By October 2012, Eleanor Craig left the company, citing differences in strategy with the shareholders. But in reality, they fired him because they didn't know what he was doing. He basically wasted the investors' money.